Well, hello again. Here we are with another yes or no question. This one is certainly going to upset a lot of people. Here's the question. Could woke be the new Enlightenment? Well, we all know what the Enlightenment was. It was certainly a period that we think of in the 17th to the early 19th century. Very notably in France, but really throughout Europe certainly, where we kind of confronted the corruptness of the monarchies, the church, the people who were not only behaving well but not even telling us the truth, and having fought back against that. There was a kind of blossoming of intellectual freedom and people writing and speaking what they really believed and starting to make some kind of intellectual sense out of all of that. I think we think especially of the French philosophers, Diderot and Rousseau and Voltaire and so forth when we speak of the Enlightenment. It was a magical period. And, well, it's all over now, isn't it? We're enlightened. Yeah, so that's the end of it. Or is it? Some people would say we're not. What we're going through at the moment, as we encounter a lot of pushback against apparent past injustices and ill treatment and so forth, is a kind of a new enlightenment. We're pushing back against being told the wrong things once again and being lied to and denying about past sins and bad behavior. So we're in the middle of a new enlightenment. We're woke. How about that? Just to be clear, for all of those of us who aren't totally up to date with American slang, woke basically means an increased awareness of social and racial injustice, particularly the term particularly coined by African Americans in the States. The idea is that you eventually wake up, you're woke, you wake up to what's going on and realize that you're not being told the truth and that the past is being denied and so forth. So that's why there seems to be a relationship with the Enlightenment, because of course the same thing happened to the peoples of Europe during the time of the Enlightenment. They woke up to the realities and decided to push back. So anyway, that's what's going on. How about that? Okay, well, let's look at the yes side of this argument. I suppose most spectacularly, the first reason for thinking that way comes down to slavery. In Britain, certainly, the three-way trade that was enabled by black slaves in the 17th to the early 19th centuries really financed the Industrial Revolution and was instrumental in building the great houses of Britain that we smilingly walk through with our National Trust cards now and admire the kitchens and the rooms and the paintings and so forth. But alas, the fact is that those places carry a kind of black background to them, and one that we really must face up to. So just like those French philosophers really fought back very effectively with logic and fine literary efforts and so forth against the corruption in both the church and the monarchy. So it behooves us to fight back against those who would deny any culpability or existence of reprehensible behavior in the past to which I refer. What we really must do to really achieve some sense of enlightenment is to apologize for that. And to resolve to root it out wherever it exists. And if we did so, well, then we would kind of be woke. It would be an enlightenment experience. And one more thing about slavery, lest the claim be made that we finally did rise above this odious institution and do the right thing, pursue the noble and just course of action, that claim is somewhat compromised by the fact that enormous compensation was paid to all slave owners, a very wide segment of the population in Britain, to compensate them for losing their slaves and for the income that they had from them. So it wasn't like they gave it all up. They just basically liquidated some assets, really. It's not just slavery on both sides of the Atlantic, it's other things as well. We've recently had a series of demonstrations at the gates of Buckingham Palace with crowds shouting "pedophile." Well, an enlightened populace, perhaps not as rowdy as this one, could well lay complaint against the monarchy for denying and protecting the kind of behavior, particularly on the part of Prince Andrew, that has led to these demonstrations. It just simply won't do to either pretend it doesn't exist or not tell the truth about it or just kind of disappear from any sort of discussion at all. Similarly, there's the question of the national hymns, Rule Britannia and the Land of Hope and Glory, that have been under attack recently because of the wording in many of them, especially that which is reminiscent of the glories of empire. The empire, after all, was an institution that, enslaved people and exploited them, and so as such, that's pretty unpleasant. So maybe we ought to be talking about that. Finally, there's the repeated behavior of many police forces in America shooting black men, sometimes defenselessly. I mean, when one of them was basically killed with a knee on his neck, another one was recently shot several times in the back. We really have to deal with that. That just isn't on, and to try and cope and clean that up in itself would be a form of enlightenment. Well, there are those who would say, no, this whole thing is ridiculous, it's gone too far. We are a proud nation. We're proud of the fact that of our enormous accomplishments, discoveries, our great literary achievements, and we are, of course, aware that some of our citizens in the past have behaved badly, but tell me a nation or a race or a family that doesn't have bad behavior at some time. You can't have everything. We're human beings. And a similar point is, where does all this stop? What are the statutes of limitations? Should we be discussing the behavior of William the Conqueror 1,000 years ago? Because he certainly behaved badly in his harrying of the North. That was pretty nasty stuff, and the current royal family are theoretically descended from him. So do we leave that alone, or do we bang away at that as well? Third, it's political correctness really gone mad. Even Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, has pointed this out. At some point it becomes silly. And we're not talking about enlightenment here, we're just talking about extreme kind of mob rule. And then finally, we, of course, cannot overlook the king and queen of woke, Harry and Meghan. They are constantly making statements about the sins and malfeasance of the past, as of course they sit in their extremely expensive house, financed by the very establishment that one would think they might be objecting to. So there's a bit of inconsistency there. Well, what's my take on all of this? Well, I guess I have to say I'm somewhat sympathetic to the woke view, in the sense that it seeks to confront injustice. How can you object to that? If it's real, we should talk about it, and if need be, apologize for it. And as for those national hymns, well, for heaven's sake, just change the offending words and then keep playing the music and singing the songs, because they're terrific music and very enjoyable. Okay, well, I hope that doesn't upset you. I imagine half of you will be. But I think it's a kind of a current issue, and one that requires a bit of explanation and the suggestion of a few remedies. So that's what I've tried to do. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give me a like. Give me a dislike if you didn't like it, and subscribe to my channel, and even hit the notification bell. Make a comment, and I'll see you at the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.